a ton to cover, but I kind of want to go back to the beginning, and let's talk about your Summer House origin story and how you became a part of the show in the first place. So take me back to, 9 years ago at this point, right?
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime.
Yeah.
Or many lifetimes. Okay, Kyle and I met in the summer of 2014. I was actually in his house Memorial Day of 2014. That summer, he had a house in Montauk. We've been living this lifestyle. And on season 1, it truly started with Kyle and I's group of friends. So everyone you see on season 1, like, we all hung out all the time. It was in like the heyday of New York. And, this is just the lifestyle that we live in New York. Like, during the summertime, we work during the week, and then we get on the train or the jitney and get out to the Hamptons every single weekend, party, let loose, go crazy, and then, come back super hungover on Sunday nights or early Monday mornings back to the city. And it's like rinse, repeat, do it all over again. So yeah, season 1 really started with mine and Kyle's group of friends. I think from what I know of the story, one of Kyle's buddies had sent him this like open audition casting call for New Yorkers who go out to the Hamptons. And Kyle, one of his buddies sent it to him, and they were like, oh, ha, 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 you should go to this. How fun. You're like the king of the Hamptons. I don't know. That's like my dumb guy voice.
I buy it.
So Kyle goes to this, casting call. He looks around. He's like, what is going on? This is not like the demographic. It was just a bunch of like young people, not like who had never been to the Hamptons before, almost just like they were going on like a modeling casting call or for a scripted, show. So, of course, Kyle, being Kyle, the alpha Leo that he is, was like, I need to talk to the casting directors. I need to talk to the creators. And he gets in front of them and is like, look, this is not how it goes in the Hamptons. You usually get into a group of friends and we all share houses together as friends. Like, we already know each other. This is not the real world, etc. So he was like, look, we all throw this party every single year. It's called Back on Campus, which we did. We had a back on campus party every September after the summer, where like all 200 of our friends got together at a bar and we just raged. And like, I say 200 because legitimately there were 200 of us. And like peripheral, we didn't all hang out every night all together, but there was different pockets that equaled 200. So they came to this Back on Campus party one September of 2015 and, just started plucking people left and right. Oddly enough, although I was at that party, I was not involved in those original, like, interviews with the creators and the casting people because I was filming a pilot for a completely separate reality show about hospitality in New York. So I'm like under contract filming this pilot for this other show that was like meant to be on E or something. And, different characters in the hospitality industry around New York, me being the hospitality publicist. And all my friends are like going to this, green screens and interviews and whatever, they called it back then for Summer House. And I was like, this is so weird. Like, how did I get on this other show? And all my friends are like on this other show. And, as the universe would have it, that pilot that we were working on fell through. Whoever was running it or the main character, I think I was just a supporting character on that one. But yeah, that had fallen through. And so the twins, Lauren and Ashley Workus, came to me and they're like, hey, your other show fell through. Can we introduce you to the creators of Summer House? We're looking for one more girl. I was like, yeah, of course. Sure. Go for it. And so it was like, now it was December, January 2016. I sit down on a Zoom with the creators in LA, and they're like, this is our girl.
Wow.
This is our girl. And that was it. So I was the last female that wound up being, on Summer House. And then we still had a few more seats to fill with the guys.
Well, it's nice when it works out that way, right? I mean, because you kind of think, like, twist of fate, what if that other show had been picked up? Who knows whether it would have taken? And you ended up on a show that you've now been on for 9 years and has changed your life.
That would be an understatement.
Yeah.
I originally, my mindset going into it was like, look, we don't know how long this show is going to last. All you hear, especially, from our executives, like everyone's trying to manage expectations, is this could just be a year. It could be 2 years. Like, you are so lucky if you get to like the third season.
Yeah.
So we really had no clue how long it was going to last. We're already living this lifestyle. I've been going out to the Hamptons since 2007 when I was an intern in New York, and I wound up going out to the Hamptons every single weekend that summer. So I'd been going out to the Hamptons since well before I even moved to New York or I even graduated college. But then I have been doing it since well before the show. So it was like just a natural, like, sure, like we already do this. This is how we live our summer lives. Just throw a camera in there, it'll be fine. For me personally, I just wanted to pay off my student loans. I think I was like $35,000 still left to be paid on my student loans. And I was like, great, if I can just, supplement my income from being a publicist with, being on Summer House, and pay off my student loans, have no more debt, I would be in a really good place. So that was like my incentive to doing it, was purely financial. Nowadays, I think, people join reality TV shows for very different reasons. But for those of us back in the day with Summer House, I think it was just like, why not?
Which is kind of great when your reasons for doing the show are that pure, because then if the show hits, then great. But even if it doesn't hit, you make a little bit of money. It's an adventure, and you move on with your life.
Yeah, 100%. Like, again, I just wanted to pay those student loans off. It was so simple for me. I was like the girl math is like, okay, great. Like, if I can just do one season, who knows how long it's going to last? At least get the student loans out the door and not have to worry about them. And then we wound up 9 seasons later, here we are. And it's like, whoa, like, how the fuck did we get here?
Well, I remember when actually, I want to go back before we even talk about remembering when you premiered, because I was doing Vanderpump Rules at the time. And so obviously we were a part of the crossover.
Yeah.
But tell me what it was like that first summer to make the show, and how long did it take you to not pay any attention to the cameras, to forget that they were there?
I mean, that first summer, none of us knew what we were doing.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a very different type of summer for us. Like, it took a lot of getting used to. Like, we're used to going to the Hamptons and living freely and going and doing as we please. I think that first summer we're having to restructure a little bit of the programming of how we lived our lives in the Hamptons to, okay, like, no, we actually have a job to do here. So yeah, none of us knew what we were doing. I don't even know if we did a good job. Like, it's like when you almost fail kindergarten, but you don't. I feel like that's how our first season was.
So that first summer, you were in your first relationship with a fellow cast member, right? So you were dating Everett.
Yeah, I think that they were not very happy with me about that. Everett and I, at that point in time, were really good friends. Like, we had been really good friends for years. And something happened that spring where we just were like magnets to each other. And it wound up like this whirlwind relationship where we fell in love. And this is before filming had even started. So I think ideally producers and, everyone wanted everyone to be single going into that first season. And maybe, Everett and I our love could have blossomed on that first season, but I don't know what it was back then, but we couldn't hold back.
So
we couldn't hold back. But to be honest, it's more realistic. Like now we were like the first couple or the only couple in the house, and it added a different dynamic to the house. For my relationship, it was terrible.
Watch the video edition of Bravo's Hot Mic podcast at bravotv.com/podcast or listen for free wherever you get your podcasts.